What's up, guys? My name is Chris. I'm the head of DS Ministries, and I'm super excited to share with you this Bible study that we're doing. It's called Philippians, Joy in All Circumstances. We're super excited for you guys to dive in with our friend Andy Wagner, retired U.S. Air Force, who's going to walk us through this amazing Bible study. Over the next 4 weeks, you guys are going to be going through the entire book of Philippians, and you guys are going to be connecting with one another during your small group study. But more than that, you guys are going to be going through a day-by-day Bible study and devotion that's going to help you guys grow in your faith even more. So please don't neglect the reading. Don't neglect the group time. This is so important that this time with your group is where you're going to grow the most and find that encouragement and accountability to take your joy to the next level. I remember one day I found my joy when I first got my driver's license. I found more joy in my life later on, but my first remembrance of joy was that day I hopped in my 1978 Nova. That was just a beater because I wrecked it into a school bus before I got my license. That's a whole nother story. But I remember it had so much joy, but my joy quickly changed when I was driving my car to church one day, and I got pulled over in the church parking lot right in front of a whole bunch of people, and my friends included. Now, I got made fun of for a long time, but you know what? I looked at it the next day when I was driving. I thought that was going to kill my joy getting that speeding ticket, but it didn't. I found just as much joy every day driving, and we have to look at that throughout our entire Christian walk. Is just one setback can't allow us to lose our joy. One thing that happens can't lose our joy. Here's the thing, we need to be able to separate joy from happiness. When we can separate joy from happiness, that's when we're going to learn that we can be joyful, even like Paul, when he's writing the book of Philippians that's sitting in prison. Because you know what, I bet you anything, Paul was not happy in those moments when he was sitting in prison. And even back in the book of Acts, Paul was not happy when he was getting stoned by rocks. Let's keep it church here, you know what I mean? But the thing is Paul wasn't always going to be happy, but he always found that joy. And continually find our joy even in the setbacks and the hard times of our life is going to help us take our Christian walk to the next level. So guys, please welcome Andy Wagner. He's going to be taking us through the next 4 weeks and enjoy this time. And I look forward to hearing all the awesome stuff that happens to your guys' groups. Please email us at cgromas@dsministries.org. Love to hear the stories that you guys have to share. Or post on Instagram and tag us at DS Ministries. So guys, take it easy, and here we go. Take it away, Andy.
Hey everybody, my name is Andy Wagner. I'm United States Air Force retired. I'm really excited to talk to you about this week's study, which we're going to be starting Philippians, and we're going to be talking about joy in all circumstances. So a lot of people get mixed up when we talk about joy, and one of the big confusions can be between joy and happiness. When you have a birthday party and you get that new Xbox or something, you're really happy, but that's not necessarily the same thing as joy. Being joyful is a much deeper feeling. A good example of that might be kind of cliche, but one thing that brought me a lot of joy in my life was when my sons were born. It was just one of the most amazing feelings to see God bless you with your little one, and another sense of joy that might be a little more conflicting, where it seems kind of funny that you'd be happy in this situation, is when you're dealing with the loss of a loved one, but looking back at their life and remembering the things that they did to influence you and the things that they did to influence people around you. And that can sometimes bring you joy even in a horrible situation. So as you see, joy can be a little bit different than happiness. And we're going to get into this week, we're going to be starting at the beginning of Philippians. We're going to talk about somebody you probably have heard of, Paul, the Apostle Paul, and some of the ways that he had joy in some really difficult situations. So I'm really excited about this. Philippians 1, that was the reading for this week. And as you read, we start this week off with a bang. We talk about joy in all circumstances. And here's Paul. He goes and helps get a demon, out of this girl, and everybody's upset, and they throw him in prison. Here he does this wonderful thing. This girl is functioning. I'm sure she was happy about it, but everybody else gets mad, throws him in prison. So here he is. One of the things Paul says at the end of the chapter is that he is in chains for Christ. That, even though that he was in chains in prison, he was like, I was already in chains. That his life, his everything, belongs to Christ. So them throwing him in prison did not prevent him from doing what it was that he knew he had to do, and that is to proclaim Christ as his Savior. And so while he's in prison, everybody knew that he was a Christian. Everybody knew that he loved the Lord and wanted to tell people about it because he was doing that in prison. And then there was even to the point to where his chains were actually broken off by an angel, opened the gates to let him out of prison. Like, here, you could get out if you wanted to. Paul stayed there. And the guard was about to kill himself because he knew that he would be put to death for allowing them to escape. And Paul's like, hey, what are you doing? The guard looks over and is like, what are you doing? You're a prisoner who could have just escaped and you're sitting there. Paul's like, man, I'm in chains for Christ. I'm telling you, this is the real thing. And so that guard is like, oh my goodness, you actually stayed and you're telling me about this joy that you have. He's like, man, I got to get me some of that. And what an amazing testimony that is in that story. You look at the situation, if you were to get thrown in prison, I know me, it would be terrifying. I'd be terrified. Paul gets thrown in prison there, and instead of being upset and terrified and complaining about his situation, he continued to look for ways to spread the love of the Lord. And so if you look at your own life, whatever circumstance you're in, hopefully you're not in as dire of a situation as Paul was. But even if you were, or even if you are, that he is proof that we can still have joy in that circumstance, that we can still shine a light wherever the Lord has us. So I challenge you this week as you go through your daily life, keep your heart open to the options that the Lord gives you, because you never know who you might be able to influence just by shining that light.